I guess I'll do my best to do the intro and whatnot. So, yes, welcome everyone to the Fighters Corner podcast. I had to blow the dust off of this one because it's been like 50 years since the last episode due to my laziness. So I apologize for that. Tonight we'll be talking about the Capcom Fighting Collection, like the series as a whole, because this past summer, Nintendo and Capcom decided to give us the 1-2 punch that we didn't even see coming. Like, they came out with the Marvel Collection, and then we fell for the mix again for Capcom Fighting Collection 2. So, yeah, on this panel, let me just read out the list here. So on this panel, I have Damon, G3 Tyrant, Immortal, and Onion Knight. All of us are fighting game connoisseurs. We are not experts. We just like to play fighting games and complain about them. That's what we do here.
Realist intro, right?
I don't know about a whole lot of complaining. I have a couple gripes. You see me on my Twitch, you see me rant.
But yeah, like, shit, like, how, like, I guess my first thing I want to discuss is, I remember when they announced the first Capcom Fighting Collection, and everyone was just, like, super lukewarm about it. It was, like, 5 Darkstalkers games, and then, like, 5 other games no one's heard of, right? So, like, when it came out, majority of the response was, I could just put this on Fightcade. And, like, we thought we will never see this collection series again, but like Capcom's like, nah, we gave you the appetizer, we're about to give you the main course with Marvel vs. Capcom Fighting Collection. So like, yeah, like, I don't know where to begin with this. Like, what do you guys, like, where do you guys see this collection going, honestly, like with these 2 new collections? Well, one is the Marvel vs. Capcom 1 came out last week, but with Capcom Fighting Collection 2, which is like the biggest one, like, where do you guys see this going forward?
Yeah, so I was expecting the one and done, like you said, with the first collection. I'm super excited for the Capcom Fighting Collection because it gives you all the real old school versus games, kind of back to the roots. And then with the Capcom Fighting Collection 2, having all the CBS, all the, the Alpha 3, all these other cool games like Project Justice, like I'm so super excited for this stuff. I'm glad that they've put the time and effort to not only put these out there to have them released in this collection environment, but I'm glad that they've sorted out a lot of the licensing and the ancillary things around them, because that gives us a lot of hope for the future,
Mm-hmm. And like, not only that, like with all these like old games on these newer platforms with like online, like for people who don't know how to install Fightcade on their computer, because I've seen it in a lot of the Facebook groups I'm in. A lot of people are like, why is this so complicated to install, and they need help, they can't really follow the videos all that well. So like Capcom coming out and being all like, well, here's the game and you don't need to set up anything. So this is kind of good for the people who want to play these old games with some friends without like all this computer know-how on how to set up emulators and stuff like that, right? So I always thought that was good. I think with the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, like, I have spent a couple days playing it. It's a fun-ass collection. I do feel with these collections, though, there's a lot missing. And what I feel that is missing is, like, a proper versus mode. Because, like, it's the arcade ROMs, so, like, once you get into the game and someone else press start, like, you can't really switch characters at the end of the match. So, like, I wish they programmed, like, a proper versus mode and whatnot. And on top of that, too, online training. I, like, especially these old fighting games, they, like, that's cool we got training mode with hitboxes and recording and all that other stuff, but online training would be, like, amazing for this, because there's a lot of people who don't know how to play these old fighting games, but they know someone who does, and I think this will be like, if they had online training, I feel that it'll bring the community closer together, and getting like the new school kids to play these old fighting games even more if they had online training. Like, do you guys feel the same about this, or do you guys feel anything else is missing from these collections?
Well, that's a
I can agree with
question
that.
right there. But I'm gonna go with the first piece. I think in any fighting game in general, I think it's very important to have a training mode. Period.
Mhm.
It is the only way for anybody to learn anything properly, to sit down and enjoy the game, especially on their off times or whatever. Because more times than not, a lot of fighting games players spend more time in training lobbies than they do actually playing the damn game.
Facts.
So when you get a
Yeah,
training
absolutely.
mode and you're able to just sit down and lab with your favorite characters and have a YouTube video in the background or whatever it is you do to learn what it is you need to learn, even a mission mode or something, like, as long as you have a sense of direction, people will spend probably minutes facing each other, but hours in the training mode. And I feel like that's what every fighting game, basically what makes or breaks the fighting game is yes, the gameplay and all that other stuff, but a fighting game without a training mode is a fighting game asking to fail.
I want to go after you, Damon, if you had a point.
You go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, generally with fighting games nowadays, the online component is a must-have, in every shape or form of its availability. So like, even with Tekken, I'm an avid Tekken player. I've just recently, not just recently, but since Tekken 8's been released, I've really taken this game seriously and learning it. And the one thing I wish it did have was online training with me and Immortal, because more times than not, like Immortal was saying, like, I'll spend hours in a training mode than actually play a match online. So it's like, if you give me the opportunity now to learn matchups with friends, especially if like someone is proficient at a character and you want to learn a matchup, now you have the ability to learn that matchup online with a friend and make the mistakes and learn and grow as a player and whatnot. But I will say, just in particular with just these collections, and I think the biggest thing that needs to be asked eventually is that who is really the target audience here? Because it's like, I honestly wholeheartedly do not see a whole lot of new players funneling into these kinds of games.
Mm-hmm.
Because they got Street Fighter 6, they got Tekken 8, MK1, all those other things, right? That they're currently investing their time in and playing and whatnot. And when you see these legacy games, the one or two things are always gonna come up. A, when I buy this game, am I gonna play it online? Which more times than not, they're not going to, because B, they're gonna get their ass kicked. So
That's a fact.
without knowing how many people are actually going into this game, because it's like, again, the only people, to me, in my opinion, that are buying this game are the Fightcade guys. Like, let's be real.
Mm-hmm.
You might have people new to the genre because they played Ultimate Rumble 3 or they played Street Fighter 6 and whatever, and they see like the Daigo moments and all the hoopla behind everything, and they're like, maybe we can try that and take a look and see what this is all about. But I will say that the biggest issue here for these collections isn't necessarily the legacy players, man. It's trying to get the newer players to come in and play. So one thing that you particularly hit on that I will 100% agree that's an absolute necessity is online training.
1,000,000%, because these games are made at the time of this era. These games were made with couch in mind.
Yep.
Right? We're all supposed to be sitting together, like everyone's making a plan to go to Dave's house, or everyone's making a plan to go to my house, or everyone's making a plan to, you know what I mean? Like, everyone's making a plan to go somewhere so that we can all sit down collectively and play. That era has been long gone. So to translate these games into online play is very important, having these private lobbies so you can emulate a couch-like kind of a feel. So in my opinion, I feel like this kind of collection, one of the games that are going to thrive for sure is CVS2, because everyone's desperate.
Oh, fuck yeah. 100%.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't think it will.
What, CVS 3?
CVS. Oh, I thought you said CVS 2. I was like, I don't think it will. But I don't want to cut off Damon because I want to hear what he has to say. So.
Oh, well, I guess I'll go then.
Yeah.
So, in my opinion, for the Marvel's Capcom collection, it's a good thing and it's also a really bad thing. Because right now, currently, Jay Wong has caused over 30 refunds by himself by playing Marvel 2.
Hey, listen, those people are soft, all right?
Yeah, those are
One way or another.
those
If
are
it
soft
wasn't J-Wong,
people.
it could be someone else.
That's the literal problem. because of all the OG players or all the players who've been playing Marvel 2 on Fightcade and the arcades, etc. They all had that information, and since people nowadays are too scared to ask for that information, so I'll say, "Hey, that was cool. How do you do that?" Or you sit there, you get the old fashioned OG answer. Go to the lab and go learn it, like how I did, or go look online or all that type of mess. And people are too lazy to do that. They want to sit there, they want to do the cool stuff, and if they can't do the cool stuff immediately, they're going to turn away from it.
Mhm.
Now, yes, that's a mentality issue, but in terms of the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, it's a great thing because it revitalizes that love for Marvel 2 and that love for all old school Marvel based games, or for some reason, the Punisher. I don't know why, but I digress. And with that, it keeps everything. It brings in a fresher feeling, but again, as both sorry, darn it, please, thank you. As both Tyrant and Immortal have both said, online training mode is like a big ass must because the couch era is now like that's been
It's
gone
long
since like
gone.
2000. It's been gone since 2009 at this point. So
Mhm.
I'm like, at this point, yeah, we kind of need that. We kind of need that online training mode to get that information out and start playing the game. And that way, you don't sit there and try to, you can sometimes finagle your way through some stuff here and there, but like, there's a lot of problems. There are some good things. There are some bad things for it. Like, for example, what I want for the game is, I want to be able to buffer buttons when I want to hit the button, please. That's all I want. That's all I want. But that's just a personal issue with me. I got to get used to it. But
I
again, go for it.
No, I was gonna say like there's like another complaint that I saw, and it's like mostly from like the new school players. Some of them are upset at the fact that they can't bring in their one button moves onto ranked play, only casual, and like that's another thing that makes them stop playing the game. They're like, oh, I thought I could go online and I thought I could go online with my one button moves, but I can't. And I kind of blame Street Fighter 6 for this when you allowed modern controls on
I wouldn't even
ranked.
just say Street Fighter though, because look at the landscape of fighting games today.
Cool.
Like
True.
DNF, you got not Guilty Gear,
Grand Blue.
Fanny's Versus. You got a bunch of these titles, even Melty Blood type Lumina. Like it's, I'm a massive Melty Blood player. I've been playing that game since Acadenza. And when I play type Lumina, I'm like, well, what the fuck is this? This shit feels weird as fuck.
But
like,
this goes to Damon's point. Like, people want to do the cool things now. And I think the reason why simple controls are being more and more pushed is because of exactly what he said, which I agree with him on. When people see all these flashy things, they don't want to know that they have 10 directions to get the first move out.
agreed.
Right? Like, we live in an era where people's attention spans are very short and limited.
Thank you, TikTok.
So, yeah. No,
But I wouldn't even say it's like a, sorry to cut you off, bro.
No, you
but
good.
I wouldn't even say it's an attention span issue. I just think it is just a skill issue.
Which I think the fix for that, I think the solution to that is online training. Because again, even though the option is there for fighting games today, if you go into training mode, you can change your dummy to player 2 or controller. Nobody's sitting next to you nowadays. If you're gonna put that feature in training mode, you may as well make a training lobby And if for whatever reason you think it's too complicated to do, then just give us custom lobbies where we can give ourselves infinite time, infinite health, and all that other stuff. And then there you go. You got yourself a training lobby.
What you see what the problem is here with your idea is you're looking at this from the perspective of someone who's been playing fighting games for years. Now, even if we look back at the perspective of fighting game players today, when you turn on Tekken 8 or when you turn on Street Fighter 6 or when you turn on any fighting game that you play in the modern era and you start in the lower ranks, why don't these niggas progress? Because they don't want to.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to learn. They're not. And again, like, it's not like they have access to individuals who know how to play these games. We're talking about people who are the best at the family barbecue. Right? They're not looking to read frame data and all that other stuff. They're not looking to do that. They want to pick it up. Is it accessible? Is it fun? And is the music good?
Yeah,
Like,
I hear that.
No, that is a fair point. Like, because I was coming from the perspective, like, of myself when it came to online training mode, because, like, I have to thank online training in KOF 14. That's how I got really good at it. Because, like, I had, like, Nas and a few other KOF guys sit down with me over the mic and in online training mode, showing me how to do different mix-ups and all that other stuff, and I tried to pass that on to, like, my other friends who wanted to get into KOF and whatnot, right? Because, like, at least, like, I could talk to you from my house, and we're in training mode together, and we could pick the same character, and I could show you what the character can and cannot do, right?
but again, the problem still persists.
No, I understand the problem. I totally understand the problem. I totally get where you're coming from. Like, again, like, one of my friends, Mike, right? He plays fighting games, loves Tekken. He can't get into Marvel because he feels that it's too complicated for him. And I was willing to sit down with him and, like, show him, like, the basic stuff when it comes to Marvel and just work my way up. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I felt like online training mode, especially for the Marvel collection, would be so fucking, like, amazing if there was online training mode, because, like, these games from the 90s, it was just fighting game, learn it yourself. Right? And at that time when we played it was just like, oh, I just figured out how to do this on my own. I just figured out how to do this special move on my own. I just figured out how to use the gems on my own, right? So, like, they give you such little information, and there's like, here's like a small tutorial on the marquee on the arcade. Go have fun. Go figure shit out yourself, right? And it's been like that. Yeah. It's been like that in the early 90s for like 10 to 15 years. Now, with everything being accessible and whatnot, like, Tyrant, I do agree with you. It has dumbed down, like, the generation a little bit, where they want to do the flashy shit now and, like, don't even want to, like, actually learn how to do the flashy shit and whatnot.
But again, the proof is in the pudding, man. When you look at all the games that have dumbed it down, they're selling record numbers of sales.
Like, and that's the thing, is that you guys are fundamentally talking about, like, two different things. Dave's talking about someone who really wants to sit down and learn and fire up online training, and Tyrant's talking about someone who just wants to pick up and go. Right? Yeah. These are not the same people.
For sure.
And ideally, the goal with modern controls is to turn that person who just wants to pick up and go to say, oh wow, I did all that cool shit, but there's more I could be doing. And the idea is to kind of transition them into that person who's willing to jump into the lab and do that kind of stuff. And I feel that by not having online training, you're putting up a very real roadblock in that transition path, which is what you want, right? You want people, because, like, this whole these collections, like, yes, people like us who played these back in the day are going to buy it. Also, the people who don't want to get Fightcade set up are also going to buy it. But if you want newer generations to pick it up out of interest and progress with it, you need to have that path from one button specials, quick wins, and not quick wins, but, you know, quick gratification when it comes to doing combos and specials, to turning into someone like Dave who wants to jump in the lab, right? And
so here's the thing, Onion. To your point, I do agree with you on those things, but it's just a transition. Like, I feel like these legacy fighters, there's only few of us left, right? So I don't like, as Tyrant would say, is this gonna sell tremendously well? I don't think so, because most of us have families now and just don't have the time for it, like we did back when these things were still fresh and hot. So few of us, like myself, Dave, whomever, we do have still some time, but not as much time as when we were in our youth. You know what I mean? And plus, nowadays when people are playing fighting game tournaments, one of the first things they ask themselves is this going to be at EVO? Because if not, then what's the point of me learning?
That, right? Or does it have its own world tour?
Yeah, that too.
Is this game tournament worthy?
Yeah.
Like, what is the point of me sitting down playing Plasma Sword if I'm not going to be into a tournament, if I can't convert this into money somehow? This is the era we live in now, to the point where casual gaming has been, like, put to the wayside along. Like, if I can't make money, if I can't make a profession off of this, I'm not interested in playing it. And this is what's been plaguing fighting games specifically, because shooting games and everything else like that, they still have your PvE stuff. But fighting games, it's the definition of PvP. It is the most challenging genre that you can get into, and I'm willing to fight for that. It's the most challenging genre of game that you can play. So I feel like because fighting games are structured the way they are, they're pigeonholed. So my question to you, Onion, is do you think it'd be more healthy to continue releasing these legacy games, or should we eventually, like, for example, title update CVS 3 with simplified controls or modern controls, Power Stone 3 modern controls, should we go further into the modern control era? Because, like, yeah, while there are people like us, we're the minority here now. We are no longer the majority.
Yeah, that's right.
That's a fair point. That's a very fair point.
So I think that these releases that we're talking about right now are testing the waters for something like a CPS3, which would have that support by Capcom because it would be a modern fighting game and have that, the tournaments, it'll be at EVO, that kind of stuff. As far as my thoughts on modern controls, I'm not a fan of them, but that's just because I'm older. Now, I don't mind the way that Street Fighter 6 took care of it, where if you use modern controls, you get penalized when it comes to damage and stuff like that. Yeah, I think that that's a reasonable way to do it. I think that people who say that, well, one button controls is good because it lowers the skill gap, the problem is that if you get, Johnny Donuts from your local and you put them against a professional and both these people have one button specials, Johnny Donuts is still going to get washed because there's more to it than just doing a Shoryuken. There's fundamentals, there's footsies, there's, concepts like frame data, should you be mashing on wake up or not, risk reward. It's more layered than that. So I personally don't mind the one button specials if they're done in a reasonable way. I feel like Street Fighter 6 has...
I think Street Fighter 6 does it perfectly.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I will say it like this, in terms of going back to Immortal's point with basically, like, can this game make you money? I mean, you gotta look at it from this standpoint as well. A lot of people currently, like, winning tournaments right now shouldn't be winning tournaments. Like, almost. Like, come on now. We had, if you guys watch the, if you guys watch the Esports World Cup for Tekken and Street Fighter, Xiaohai won Street Fighter, and Ulsan took Tekken 8. He 5-0'd Adif. And basically, how it boiled itself down to was this. Basically, how Ulsan actually beat Adif, he went back to a basic Tekken 7 timing. Because Ulsan played Kasumi, she taught timing and she taught button timing and on how to time the attacks, basically. Not just, oh, hey, I can just do jab and just dance around the jab. Basically, he applied an old knee An old knee strategy was basically he just throws out the jab and then he plays his entire game plan around that one jab at that certain space. And whenever he gets in the space, he'll mix up with different pokes to get the opponent to guess, which is the way how you're supposed to play Tekken.
I'm sorry, I'll let you finish, sir.
I mean, in technicality, kind of, but basically, what I'm trying to say is that Osan won the Esports World Cup after he beat Adif, and when he did that, it wasn't like a 5. It was a first to 5. It wasn't like a 5-3, a 5-2. No, it was a 5-0, and it showed basically what experience does when you actually continue to play the game. Now, in terms of the whole fighting game thing, they want players to keep playing the game and keep supporting the game, which is why we see players who play MVC2 still around, even when they have families, they have jobs, they have other things going on in their life. Obviously, we're all human. They all want to sit there, and they do want to put in time in that game. Now, does MVC2 have a chance to come back to EVO and make some money? Possibly, because due to the factor that the pandemic kind of ruined that, which was true. And then when people were like diehard wanting to support the game because they want to see the busted shit, which is fine. Like, no one ain't gonna worry about that. But the whole thing with CVS3 being a potential thing is that people who say they want a CVS3 don't really want a CVS3.
Thank you. Oh my god. I've been saying that from time.
Because what people don't realize is that CVS2 was a broken piece of shit.
But it was a fun broken piece of shit, though. Give me RC all day.
It was a great and godly fun piece of shit. I will say it like that. It was a great game. It's a good game. The problem was that balance was atrocious if you got into the higher level of competitive play. Not even the higher level competitive, like the intermediate to like scrub level of play. Like you saw the bullshit. You saw the cigar. You saw the block. You saw the ball. You saw the pipe.
I think what the problem was when they were developing the game at the time. It was like, what if Alpha 3 had sex with KOF 98? What would happen? And then CVS2, what came out of it, right? Because that's what I tell everybody. Like, people who've never played CVS2 before, they're like, oh, what kind of game is that? I'm just like, if you take Alpha 3 and you mix it with KOF 98, it's just fucking bonkers. And it's madness, right?
Well, I tell everybody that CVS2 is one of those games where it's like, it is one of the best games to play casually, one of the most frustrating games to play competitively.
Oh, 100%.
Because once you get deep into it, you're just like roll, cancel everything, all the shit. You're painting the fence, you're doing all the crazy shit. But like, if you just want to pick it up with your buddy and just play randomly, it's fantastic.
I'm sure the guys who developed it though, they're like, how do we make Vism more broken in CVS2? Give it a super.
I swear that when they were doing development, they didn't have people that were legitimately good at the game, and so they weren't able to push the boundaries of the actual system. Mm-hmm. And so when they were developing it, they just made it, not realizing that roll canceling breaks everything. You know,
well, I'll say
this was way overpowered.
When EO came out and when they finally got rid of the roll canceling bug, and then Sagat, Blanca, Bison.
Yeah, every game's gonna have their godlike characters.
I was gonna say, name me a fighting game that's balanced.
Exactly.
But I'll say this,
like, let's be
honest.
Let me just
drop this gospel that I got from Moses real quick. So CVS 2, right? Yes, it came out in 2001, right? The Millennium. Yeah, okay, yeah, 2001. And
it's literally in the title.
And at the time, if we're comparing, and here's why I think people want a CVS 3, because as fighting games have grown and evolved and new mechanics have been implemented, things have been more sharper, professional gaming has become such a global, because back then for CVS2, we didn't really have like notoriety among our professional players. We didn't have the coverages that we have now. We don't have
Right.
game developers reaching out to professional players to come
Thank you.
play their games and to tell them
Mhm.
what's wrong with it and what's right with it, right? We have to keep in mind, like game developers, like me personally, as a game developer, I'm not going to plug anything in further because this is the kids thing. But as a game developer, it is very important to have players that are passionate about your game to dissect it. And at that time, CVS2 either didn't have that, or our internet wasn't established as well as it is now to create such a thing, right? We didn't have a Twitch. We didn't know who knew what. We didn't know who knows better than the people who made it. So with CVS3 being an idea, it's interesting because now we have access to many more things. First of all, the new mechanics, new animations, more characters, more things we can pull from. And not just that, but we have professional players that we can bring to these studios and be like, look, before we release this, we want you to break this. And even before we go into a full release, we can do closed beta tests, open beta tests. We can collect data to reformat and reforge it and make it the perfect game that all of us want it to be, instead of this chaotic CVS2 that we're all used to. Because remember, CVS2 and everything in that era, once it's out, it's out.
Oh, that's
There
it.
is no closed beta. There is no alpha test. There is no, here's an invite code to our closed testing. You know, all you guys go get on this forum, tell us what you don't like so we can tweak it, fix it. There is no player patching. There is no fixing this character now, Sagat, Bison, the V-isms, the A. Oh, we realize that A-ism is underperforming, so we're giving it a buff. And we realize that the V groove is a little bit high, so we're gonna nerf it a bit and do that. Like, there's none. Once it's out, it is out.
Mhm.
I
In this
just
era,
want to.
tweaks and changes can be made, and loose bolts can be tightened. Go ahead, Tyrant.
I just want to say that again, within regards to role canceling, painting the fence, even the Infinites in Marvel 2, you
Such
have
a that's in Dragon Ball Fighter.
Magneto combos and stuff like that. All I'm saying is, I know in my heart of hearts, I can't do 90% of that shit. There is room for that kind of play because, again, I've been an avid Guilty Gear player and an avid Melty Blood player. As a Guilty Gear player, 9 times out of 10, ain't no one doing dust loop out here. Like, I'm just keeping it a whole stack, right? So it's like, as broken as dust loop was, I spent hours and hours and hours learning that shit. The same way these guys who play CVS2 and stuff, it's not as easy as just picking Aism and start painting the fence. We're talking about an execution window of literally a millisecond between every input of a dragon punch motion. No Hadoukens by accident, no bullshit. You gotta be on point and you have to know how to execute that. So I think, as broken as these things are, there is an execution gap, because when you see these things done, it's at the highest level of play. Not even at the
exactly
most
the point.
mediocre. It's not even at the low. You won't even see it in the lowest of play. You will only see it at the top of the top. The same way you play today's modern games and you see Atif, Uslan, Kudans, and all these other guys, Knee, JDCR, and Tekken. Like, you're never gonna see these niggas in lower rank play. They're already long gone.
Can I add something to that, Tyrant?
Go for it.
I remember Maximilian was talking about this as well, and he was saying for every 10 RCs he was doing, he could only get 3. So, like, role canceling, just that by itself was already hard to do. I think the people are just so easily afraid because they could see it. But you're right. How many people can actually execute
How
it?
many people can? Then that's why I'm saying. That's why I will forever say, like, and again, like, most people who I'm not. You know what? I'm not even gonna say it like that. I'll say this: anyone who sees or watches a YouTube video of Justin Wong, Daigo, and these guys playing these games and doing all these things, you have to understand something. That is not the majority. That is the minority.
That's the 1%.
That is the 1%, and there's
That
a
is
reason
peak
why they are the
performance.
1%.
Yeah,
Wait,
that is
I'm
peak.
sorry. I just got here, guys. I'm late.
That's okay, Alex.
Keep going, Tyrant.
So all I'm gonna say in that regard of like a lot of people who look at legacy games and they're like, yo, this shit is broken is like hell. Like again, even for my I'm a massive Alpha 3 player. I love Alpha 3 to death. And I grew up in the era where if you didn't do Vism, you're kind of boned, bro. Like you're gonna get bodied. But again, Immortal, how many locals have we been to and how many locals have we done and who's using Vism? Me, RDK, and maybe Alter Genesis? And that was it?
I was gonna say there is people who will use it, but like again, it's not just because you're standing across the court from LeBron James doesn't mean you cannot win. It's just gonna be very difficult to do so, but it's not like you must know Vism or you're just not tournament worthy.
And that's also
right?
true, is because again, fundamentals, matchup knowledge, that stuff also come into play, man.
I was about to say, as someone who does boxing, like I can't tell you how many people I lit up with just a jab. Like as long as you know your fundamentals, your timing, and your basic knowledge, you can make it pretty effing far, right? You just have to understand how the mechanics work and how you can manipulate them to favor you. I played the city of NT with the worst character in the game, Squall. And I was scouted for a lot of teams, and I held my own because I understood the fundamentals of the game. I understood the fundamentals of my matchup. I knew what was safe, what wasn't safe, what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, right? Like, these are all things that just because you do Dust Loop, just because you can't do Touch of Deaths, just because you can't paint the fence, doesn't mean that you cannot win. You just need to make sure your knowledge is on point.
Exactly. That's exactly. That's a perfect. What was that, Alex?
I said, can I jump in real quick?
Yeah.
I was just waiting for him to finish. Which I agree for both what you're saying, right? Fundamentals definitely carry. Well, I won't say carry. Fundamentals will definitely bring you farther than not having them. And I will say, as somebody who's also playing the City NT and also is in the boxing and all that, being able to out-jab somebody is crucial, whether you're a beginner or a pro, right? What I will say is that when you are matching up with best of the best, like if you play Squall, the fundamentals and everything you have playing Squall matters and will help you learn how to play that character. But however, if you attach those same fundamentals and put those on a better character, you're going to be able to perform better, right? So I agree that being able to play the game and be able to have the fundamentals is important. And actually, you need that no matter what. I just think that character strength and tier list is also a factor, and it's a factor for a reason.
Oh, for sure. 1 million%.
100%.
Tier list should always be looked at instead of who is the best character in the game. The tier list, how I look at tier list is how hard or how little do I need to work to pull off the W.
That's a good way to look at it. I look at it, what does the community think about the meta and these characters in a community sense? Like, you know, the Dragon Ball Fighters, everybody's like, oh my god, this patch is horrible, the game is broken. And I'm like, no, it's not broken. Matter of fact, everybody just became easier to play, or everybody can do. Dragon Ball Fighters balance works as, let's say Bardock has a really strong lariat. Okay, we're going to give everybody that strong lariat now. So now Bardock doesn't outshine. Or Vegito can do this ridiculous split finger shot. All right, now everybody got bigger hits then. Or Piccolo can do Hellzone Grenade. Now everybody can snap back change. You know what I mean? So I just find it funny that everybody's crying about Justin Wong and Marvel. That shit's hilarious. Can we curse on here? Oh, yes, we can.
Yeah.
Bro, I called it. I told you. Everybody's like, oh, I love Marvel. I love Marvel. Like, no, you don't, because you didn't play it. I know you didn't play it, because you're crying about Drive Rush, Crouching Medium Kick. You would never survive. You'll never.
You don't even have
Bro,
a name
me and Damon were playing yesterday. He's struggling trying to play Marvel 2. He's like, I don't know who to play. Everybody sucks. And I was like, well, you know, you say you hate flight mode, but I mean, if you tried Sentinel, and then next thing you know, I'm getting fucking drone mix in the corner. I'm like, bro, what the fuck is you doing?
Hey, Alex.
I was doing this 10 minutes ago.
Alex, I gotta let you know, my team alone, I got a nice rage quit. He played me the first match in Marvel 2, and then when we played again, as soon as Cammy got him in that loop, he just quit the game.
Bro, Damon said, I made somebody mad because it was all fun. I was playing Gambit, Wolverine, Cyclops. You know, that's one of my teams. I don't like playing. Next thing you know, all of a sudden, I get fucking taunted and teabagged. I said, "Oh, he think he nice. He thinks he's nice. Wait a second. Hold on, bro. I'm refunding the game. I'm refunding it. I'm like, bro.
There's nothing to refund about. Like you guys were part of the free Marvel 2 hashtag, and now you guys want to return the game because the game's not the way you want it.
Because Maximilian told you this game is great, but you've never played it. That's all.
Well, this game must be great because Max told me it was great.
Right, like bro, everybody's like, "Oh my god, I love their strike." I'm like, no, if you're crying about throw loops, you really won't. You really won't.
And not only that, yes. So another thing I wanted to talk about that was goofy as hell was, again, with the whole Marvel 2, was that people were super high about this collection, and then Jaewon got 30 people to refund the game within 8 hours because he's the top rank in the game right now. And it was all like, "Nah, bro, I'm not dealing with Jaewon. Nah, fuck Jaewon. Nah, fuck Marvel, bro. Put Marvel back in the hell pits where it belongs." I'm just like, why y'all so hurt? Y'all wanted this, right?
Yeah, because they realized there's no Matsumoto-san to look on Twitter to fucking patch Sentinel. Nigga, you're getting Sentinel. I'm sorry. You're just gonna get rocket punched, and I was raped so hard yesterday. You don't even know. I was sick.
I don't know what happened. I'll tell this whole story. Like, I played my friend Greg, in a 1st to 10. So like, I won the first match, then he won 5 more matches. And I think it's because I was trying different teams, and I'm like, Dave, just stick to your CM Punk team. Just stick to Cammy, Magneto, Psylocke. As soon as I stuck with them, because his team, he switched a few teams, but his main team is BB Hood, Iceman, and Jen. And I was falling hard against that team. And what he does is he likes to chuck the missiles and then do the landmines with BB Hood, and then call Iceman for ice beam assist, right? So I'm sitting there just like, Dave, you're a friggin' idiot. You got Magneto on projectile type. Do that to nullify his shit and then just get in, right? As soon as I started doing that, I won 9 games in a row. I was surprised. I actually took the set from him. I thought he was going to win it, but I took the rest of the 9 games.
Do you mean adapting actually helped? Like,
yeah, no, listen, there's no community patch in 3 months. There's no Twitter. There's no what's his name, Harada-san, please. There's no none of that. It's you better go to Discord. That's what I had to do.
You go to Discord. You better go on the website. Good luck.
And Sentinel, and I was like, I will never lose to this shit again. Okay, Discord, what do I do? They say pick Cable. I said, fuck, alright. Then I start picking Cable. I'm like, okay, I can kind of see what's going on. And then I fought yesterday with Ruby Heart, Dr. Doom, Psylocke. I just put the controller down. I couldn't move. I was like, oh, can't just. Alright, I could be mad, but this is Marvel 2. I wanted this, and there's 5 other games on the collection, bro. Like, nobody's even playing anything else.
I got Wolverine looped in Marvel Superheroes. I didn't care. This is what I signed up for.
That I do know. I love that. I love that.
What were you going to say, Thanos?
While Justin destroying people online, it's hilarious, making them refund the game. I wonder if that's more of an indictment of the matchmaking system not working as intended more than anything else, because ideally someone of Justin's caliber should not be being matched up with people who are that with the game. Now I understand it just came out, matchmaking is all fresh, you got to rank up somehow, and
okay, I could easily explain that.
That's it.
Yeah, okay, well, the matchmaking is a problem, and they are fixing it, because sometimes it takes forever to get a game, and on top of that, too, you could continuously milking the same person for points if you're beating them a lot,
Where that is,
right?
I low-key helped
Oh, really?
niggas the rank
Yeah.
yesterday.
So I think that's why people are not getting matches, is because there's still people playing sets. Because the whole time I'm thinking, oh, okay, this is 2 out of 3, right? When I did the 2 out of 3, I'm like, wait, why are we still able to play? Right? And then like it dawned on me, it's like, oh wow, you can play the same person as many times as you want. I think they're fixing that. And then like on top of that too, like when you start off, like you said earlier, all the old heads who played Marvel 2 like for 50 years, like we all started off as rookie. Those guys who start off at rookie and made the rank so fast is because they've been playing the game for so long. So like they got to the high rank so easy. Probably like in an hour, 2 hours of just them consistently playing. And like I have my Twitch open at all times. Every time I sign on to Twitch, Justin Wong is streaming Marvel 2. That I don't think he's left his house.
He's not left his house. This weekend, though, he's not.
Okay.
Oh, no, go for it.
I was gonna say, if you play the same person and they keep winning, your points go up. Like you get an extra boost in points for streaking.
Yeah.
It's like if somebody
That's
beats you in 8 games, they get more points. I'm like, bro, it's cool.
Okay, so that explains a lot now. Because if you can just grind one person to get a bunch of points, and then all of a sudden you're now in the upper echelon of ranked, going up against Justin Wong, you kind of brought that on yourself, didn't you? You know, like
Yeah.
Well, not
honestly,
only that, also how the matchmaking system works like this: the higher your streak, the better players you play.
Yeah, that too.
it'll count.
Yeah.
I guess like if you win 9 games and leave, your first game with the new guy is to your 10th game in the streak. Yeah.
Yep.
yeah. So
And
like, but
basically-
like I said, it is hilarious, but there are some flaws into the system.
Yeah, there are some big flaws with that. Like, for example, if you lose like 3 in a row, your next opponent's going to automatically be at least a rank or 2 below you, regardless whether or not it was a close game or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's annoying too.
All I know is that if you want to play non-Marvel 2 in ranked, good luck. I'm gonna find
Yep.
nobody.
Yep.
The only thing I'm gonna say about the online component, especially when you start thinking about if you have a losing streak, so inherently it's going to make you play someone maybe a lower rank than you. We have to understand here, fellas. Player retention is important, right? You want them to keep coming back to your game, because if they just continuously lose and you don't give them a layup, I mean, it's in every fighting game you play today, right?
That's a fact.
Like skill-based matchmaking is a thing in everything you do online. Like it's only getting far more strict because the telemetry shows that it works. Player retentions are at all-time highs for certain games because they start feeling themselves, right? But they want their players to stay more engaged, more time on the game, so then when they start putting microtransactions, loot boxes, all this other crazy shit in it, now you're spending money on their game, investing time in their game, and when they make the new version of their game, they know, I was pretty all right at this, I can play this, and they'll go and buy the next one.
So let me
What
ask
I'm
you
saying
this.
is there's gonna be Marvel 2 color packs in 2 months. Got it.
So let me ask y'all this. To kind of deviate from the Justin Wong topic and try and get ourselves back onto the collection topic. Let me ask y'all this. Do you think for new players or for players in general who are coming to the game, matching up with Jay Wong or whomever the big baddie is in every game, right? Do you think in order to fix this is to have like a ranked mode, and depending on your ratio, like how good you do, your win rate, like let's say you have above 85% win ratio, right?
Mhm.
Do you get invited to a private area that's known as the Pro Lounge, where only you and people with this ratio can play to keep you away from discouraging the other players trying to come up?
Yeah,
So like
I think that's a good idea.
celestial.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's
great
good.
idea.
Exactly.
I think that's a good idea, Immortal, because like, yeah, you make your way to like the next layer, and you have to like survive in that layer before you get kicked out, and you go back to the bottom layer. Right? I like that idea.
Yeah. Or like they give certain players like Yipes, Justin One, they're like, look, we're just gonna give you this badge, now. That way you can still. That way you're in a separate ranked mode than the
You're
other
already
guys.
in. Yeah, you're automatic. Like if you
stay
are
here.
a Jay Wong, since we're using him or whatever. If you are a Jay Wong, and even if it's your day one, you just get the fucking badge because we know who you are.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like we
agree.
want to
That's
keep you away
definitely
from these people.
Because to be fair, I'm not gonna lie. Yesterday there was a big stretch between we're on the character select screen and you're hovering over Jean or Sakura, and I'm like, I don't know what we're doing. To next match, Magneto. Oh, okay, I see what's going on now. All right.
But you
So
also,
what?
I want you guys to understand this too, especially Onion Knight and Immortal. What is the one issue that's ailing Guilty Gear right now? You can't get players. Newer players who are getting into the game automatically get moved to floor 6
As
because
they should, bro. As
what
they
ends up
should.
happening is you eliminate the entire process of learning the game and you throw them into the average to above average player tier. And then what ends up happening, those people start leaving. Why do you think Guilty
they're
Gear
getting
is
hosed.
slowly trying to crossplay itself out? Because there's not enough players to keep the game going
Oh,
on
shit.
just that one platform.
I think that's a problem of there's not enough new players the entire time. That's just the skill floor of the average player just erodes. So if you're jumping in and you're not ready to match the pace of the run, you're just gonna get left behind. So that can happen in any fighting game. Granted, Guilty Gear did great at the beginning, but like imagine trying to tell somebody, hey, you should get the Dragon Ball Fighters now. That's not the same game as it was when it first came out.
No,
Same with Guilty
granted.
Gear Strive.
No,
Let me ask
granted.
you all this: what is
I
the
agree.
point of Capcom Collection? What do you think the point is? Like, why release this game? What is it supposed to accomplish?
I could
Are we
answer.
trying
I could answer that.
Are we
It is
trying to
supposed
see
to-
what games will do well so we can make sequels? Are we trying to provoke people's nostalgic bones? Go ahead, kid.
I can answer that. From an IGN interview, like they actually interviewed like the producer. I forgot his name, but he's the same producer, Street Fighter 6. I think these two guys are just big ass Capcom fanboys because his reason for releasing these collections is that he knows about Capcom's history and he wants people like new people to play these old Capcom games that they've never got a chance to play, which is valid. I think.
But will it work in your opinion? Knowing this era, do you think anybody would be remotely interested in playing a CVS2, an MVC2, Alpha 3? Because remember, you are taking these new gamers who have simple controls and are now in the button configuration wondering where the fuck that input is.
Mm-hmm. There's
no simple controls?
No,
I have to learn a playbook? Not interested.
Well, there is a simple control scheme in the collection. It's like Andre. It's so simple to the point where you could set a button to a specific move for every character.
Ain't gonna help you against
Where it's like, I'm a Kuma, okay, well I can have square as Gohado, I can have X as Shingoku Satsu, I can have triangle as uppercut. Like, dude, like that's how the basic, that's how the easy controls work.
Yeah.
But the nerf is that you can't go on ranked mode with it. And that's what those.
Help you against J1.
Well, no, you can't. No, you can't go on ranked mode with those type of controls. Period. Only casual online.
I think that's a mistake. And here's why I think it's a mistake.
100% a mistake.
I think instead of just blocking out a whole mode to get, like, the purpose of a fighting game is to see how good you are at it. That is the purpose of it. When you block out ranked mode, you will never know how good you are.
So you want the players who know what they're able to do to have a one-button air fight for me. Because remember, everybody has access to simple controls, not just new players. So the old heads.
So to finish my point, instead of blocking that out completely, there needs to be some sort of ailment to it. Like, if I do use simple controls, perhaps it's at a reduced 50% damage.
Mm-hmm.
Where if I do a motion, it's 100%. There needs to be if you want to bridge the gap between legacy players and new players, you need to keep in mind that the word bridge has to exist. You need to find a way to make the two coexist. Because if you cater to one audience, then the legacy players, this isn't what it's supposed to be, so we're not interested. And the new players will be like, this isn't what I'm used to, so I'm not interested. But if there's some sort of a bridge, way to mesh the two together, you should be able to succeed. But simple controls, I don't think it needs to go away. I think it just needs to be worked in a manner where it can be used, but it's also not too crazy. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say I don't think it's gonna work for this collection, or any collection for that matter, because these games are so steeped in legacy, and we need the perfect version. People are like, "Oh, there's this glitch with Wolverine and Thanos. This game is trash. This collection's awful. I'm not buying it." It's like, bro,
no, right, you're right. But before you got here, we were talking about the sequels, and like the reason why I brought that up was because we were talking about CVS3. Nobody wants a CVS3, and like that meshes in with that conversation where I feel like if we basically, I'm just gonna be repeating myself, but basically like because in my opinion, this collection is to collect data on what games they should be pushing. In my opinion, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong.
I can see that's part of it for sure. I agree.
Yeah.
Definitely are looking at data.
So I'm thinking. Go ahead. Sorry. No, because at this point I'm just repeating myself.
Yeah. So I think that there's 4 reasons why this collection, this year's collection came out. I think the first one is nostalgia. They're cashing in on people like us who played these games in their youth, and they want another hit of that old school nostalgia. The second reason is to hopefully get new people in by piquing their interest of like, oh, I'm into Street Fighter 6. What was this like back in the day? Like, what were these games like before I was around? The third reason would be history, because like right now, like if I want to play Project Justice, I fire up a Dreamcast and put a burnt disc in there or whatever, however you manage to get it, right? It's not as straightforward. So being able to play that on modern hardware is a big draw. And the last thing is, like you said, data. I think based off of the sales of this, that will determine, they're going to gauge how much interest a new Marvel has. They're going to gauge interest on how much a new CPS has.
I just want to say, I like what you said there. I didn't even think of that second point you made. I didn't even think of that. So I think that's a really good point you made, where it's just to show people how far we've come.
Yeah.
I really like that point. I really, really like that point. That was a very good point. I didn't even think of that. So that was a very good fucking point.
I will say right now, from the reaction, people are not going to want a new Marvel. If the casual reaction is, I'm refunding the game, this shit sucks, that should just die.
Yeah, but
I actually have somewhat of a hot take about all this. I think, okay, my hot take is, and I've had this take for about a couple years now. Like, for everyone asking for a Marvel 4 and a CVS 3, I don't think crossover games should happen anymore.
Whoa!
And here's
Hold on, tell us your why.
This is my why. These games are all about money now, right? Like when we got Marvel vs. Capcom, and when we got, especially Marvel vs. Capcom, the whole story behind Marvel vs. Capcom was the fact that there was a couple Marvel fans who worked for Capcom who wanted to make a fucking X-Men game, right? Like they were such fans of the comic book and the TV show in Japan that they wanted to make an X-Men game because they thought X-Men was cool, and they're like, hey, let's make an X-Men game because these characters are fucking cool. The one guy who was a fan, he would translate all the X-Men, like the Jim Lee run, in Japanese so the Capcom guys could, like the Capcom employees could read it, right? Like there's like a whole story about it you can find online. I think a lot of these fighting games now kinda lack the passion that they once had back in the 90s. That's why I feel a crossover title now is a bad idea. What they should do, and Tekken started this, well, I shouldn't even say Tekken, Namco in general started this, have the guest characters come in. Not only that you focus on your main fighting game, but you could find other characters that is not part of that universe to see if they fit in your fighting game engine. So the way how Capcom's doing it, having Mai and Terry as guest characters, fucking Tekken 7 had like... Tekken 7 was just Mugen. at that point. Tekken 7 was Mugen. Right? So I think the guest characters is far more interesting than just doing a crossover game. That's just my...
your point.
Can I be honest? I 100% disagree with you, but I will let him go first.
Okay, so I'd like to add to your point, kid,
Mm.
real quick. Is also I feel you on this one. I do, because when you have these two big like Marvel and Capcom is a big roster of characters that you can pull from,
Mhm.
and not only are you trying to make them all work in one game, you're also trying to keep them true to themselves,
Mhm.
and that also includes a whole bunch of mechanics that could end up to being game like CVS2, for example. You want SNK characters to behave like SNK characters, but Capcom characters to behave like Capcom characters. And it's just, at that point, what mechanic is the law in the game, right? Because you have too many mechanics meshing together, right?
Mhm.
We can't have Spider-Man behaving like Ryu, but we can't have Ryu behaving like Wolverine, right? And we got to make sure everybody, and when you have a cast of like 50 plus characters, and each of them need to be unique in some way while obeying the laws from where they come from, instead of obeying the law of the game itself, it can become a little bit messy. Smash, yes, while they have a lot of guest characters like Kazuya, but they found a way to make him fit by obeying the laws of the Smash universe. Right? They didn't just make Kazuya have side steps and he's the only 3D character here who can throw you at the camera per se.
Mhm.
No, he's still confined to our 2.5D space. And yeah, he still has things that honor him, but it doesn't break the laws
Of
our
Smash.
game.
Yeah, it doesn't break the
Right?
laws of Smash. And that was like my original point when it comes to like just stick to guest characters as well, instead of
Because I was
making
about to say, with your Tekken 7 analogy, I literally said Noctis was literally here so that they can test out the new character in Tekken 8 with the swords and the teleporting stuff.
Of course.
Noctis was literally his blueprint.
Exactly.
Which it
Like
worked.
when I saw Victor, I'm like, wait, it's Noctis.
It worked. It worked. I was like, yeah, Victor was basically if you're a Noctis main, you play Victor.
And you know what?
They're the same.
And the funny thing was, when I had Tyrant over and we played Street Fighter 6 for the first time, and understanding how the drive rush works, I told him, bro, this is Capcom's version of King of Fighters. Because King of Fighters been playing like this for like 10 years with the whole max mode cancel. And look who just happens to stroll along to Metro City. Fucking Terry Bogard. So it's like, if you know how to play KOF 14 and 15, then, because Terry fits perfectly, because when I heard people say, like, when they moved, when they decided to make, Drive Rush 2 buttons, instead of just doing forward, a lot of people were complaining. It's like, oh, how am I going to press 2 buttons when I hit one main button? And I'm just like, bro, this is exactly King of Fighters. King of Fighters was 2 buttons to activate, max mode cancel. So like Terry and Mai fit the game perfectly.
Right. But
So-
before we get up to, I want to hear the counter argument to this.
Oh yeah, Alex, go ahead.
Alright, so my first thing is one, it's always about money. So
Thank
the
you.
reason I say that is one, they only picked Terry because Terry's the most popular SNK character. And they're picking
Thank
him
you.
now
Yeah.
because he just got into Smash. That's why you don't see Kyo on the front of the box anymore.
Thank you.
It's only-
My boy Kyo.
that's
And all the things I've been waiting to say.
like
you.
at SBC Chaos, I'm like, it was Ryu and Kyo. Now it's Terry and Ryu. I wonder why. Sakurai. Number
Yep.
2 is that guest characters work when they fall in the line of the actual game itself, but it kind of eliminates who you get to choose. Like, let's be honest, they're not gonna pick Marco from Metal Slug over Terry.
Nope.
Like, if you're going to guest character, you only get 1 or 2 choices, maybe. And Akuma they use a lot of Street Fighter isms in Tekken that broke the game, quote unquote. Geese.
It did.
Played like King of Fighters or SNK, broke the game.
It
Noctis
did.
had my Final Fantasy shit, broke the game. So then they're like, oh, let's just make the whole game. Let's make everybody able to do that. That way, everybody can do amazing shit. And then all of a sudden, nobody likes Tekken 8 like that. Well, Tekken 8 is divisive.
Tekken 8 in the beginning of its launch, and I agree with you wholeheartedly, was just straight up not as good at all.
Mm-hmm.
It was such a departure from Tekken.
You want to know why? Because as somebody said earlier, they wanted to bridge the gap.
They wanted to bridge the
Older
gap,
and
exactly.
newer. And the thing is, if like, let's be honest, does anybody here actively play Street Fighter 6?
I do.
Okay, that's one.
Negative.
Dave, do you play Street Fighter 6 like that?
I haven't played it in a year. I'm just waiting for Terry to come out.
It's okay. Terror's coming out, so Dave will
pick
look
a
at that.
character in a game you don't actively play over a crossover that you actively are more excited for.
So I will say, actually, sorry, I'll let y'all.
No. I'm just saying that I think crossovers are a great idea. I think all fighting games, they lost their passion, their money. Whether it's Street Fighter 6, Marvel vs. Capcom 4, Project L. Like, if
Once
you don't,
battle passes became a thing, that.
yeah, battle passes definitely did not help. But I will also say the amount of budget that these games need to return.
And that's why I say like the whole crossover thing should be done with because of that one problem already, right? Not only just like the licensing and all that other stuff, but just like you have to like the guys who are making Street Fighter 6, they probably have to split up that team to go make a crossover game. So now you got two teams focusing on two fighting games that need to last the next 5 to 6 years. And different
I
seasons.
think in order for it to work, you need to. I think in order for it to work for because I do agree with Alex. Crossover games is money. Yes,
it is money,
and I do agree. And I do agree with Dave. Like to the point where like I feel like what these crossover games need to do is formulate a law. They need to both be like, okay, what is the game's core mechanics, so that when we make this game, every character obeys the law of the mechanics per se.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yes, Ryu can throw Hadoukens and whatnot, and Kyo can do his Bodiga and all that. Like, yes, they can all still do those things.
But what is the main mechanic?
Yes, exactly. What is the main thing that everybody across the spectrum has to honor?
Because like what
we can't have Capcom characters playing like Capcom characters and SNK characters playing like SNK characters, and then throwing them together to see what happens.
Because like to add to that too,
I personally think you can personally.
It hasn't worked so far, is what I'll say. So far,
what systems, like what mechanics, but what mechanics would you use now, right?
What mechanics would I use now? It depends. I want two.
No, like what I mean is that if we have Capcom versus SNK3, right, it has to follow the two mechanics coming from Capcom and SNK together.
No, it doesn't.
It could have a whole new mechanic altogether, in my opinion.
But also,
just make it a new game featuring these guys.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could do it like this. You could do it the safe route. We have King of Fighters 15 or Fatal Fury City of the Wolves for one side. Then you got Street Fighter 6 for the other side. Or you can do, we're going to throw it back. We're going to do, it's just like CVS 2. We're going to have 3 grooves this way, 3 grooves that way. We're going to focus on 3 games. It could be the same ones, could be different ones, whatever. You could do what he just said, which is where you make a whole new system. There's just one system. There is no grooves anymore, which will probably kill the selling point of CVS.
There you go. That's my thing. Like but it might be fine for you, but it might not be fine for the other people who are like expecting grooves and stuff like that.
I want grooves.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying make it one system. I say make it grooves, and if you want, you could do it. There's many ways. You could do it by eras. You could literally say, here, every mechanic has a one jump. Now each groove has a different extra. One groove could have a double jump. One groove could have short hop. One groove could have air blocking. But all of them evolve around one jump.
Mm-hmm.
Then you could go and balance each one of the grooves to where when you pick the groove, because now modern fighting games, they do really well at making sure each character can function. Who's good or who's bad, it can be determined, but they function as a character better compared to like a Marvel 2 or a CVS 2, where some characters just don't.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a way to develop a CVS 3 or a Marvel 4. You just have to have people in place who want to make it, people in place who want to market it, and people in place who want to support it, and the community in place who wants to play. Because Project L is like a prime example of where the fighting community should not go if they want to survive. Because I think Project L is a disgrace.
You know what's sad about that? I know someone who works on that game too. So like,
let them know that AlexLovehall said, "I'm sorry that you are wasting your time on that."
Yeah, he's like doing the art.
I say that Dave was you were a little prophetic with your hot take there, saying that they shouldn't make any crossover games because I don't want to speak ill of the dead, but I think after everybody got burned with Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite, I think that was, for a lot of people, the nail in the coffin. After that,
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to
nobody
use
thought
Infinite because
crossover
we
games.
all knew it was a fucking movie.
No.
Yes,
Not
it
true at
was,
all.
but
We all
but
knew
they
it was a
still
movie.
invested.
I don't even think MVCI really put any nails in the coffin, because even as bad as that game was when it came out to the wider community, it still had a healthy community. It still had decent numbers to even run in Evil.
I think it was just people who wanted it to work.
But the thing is, though, but shortly after Dragon Ball Fighters has come out, they realized that the tag game genre isn't dead. It was just MVCI didn't hit on all its.
It didn't hit a full point. And the
Dragon
thing
Ball
is,
Fighters proves that tag fighting is still alive and still very healthy as a genre.
Hold on. Before everybody gets
But that's not
crazy,
what I was talking about.
he was making a point. Yeah, let him make his point. We
Yeah,
cut him
like
off.
I'm not saying I wasn't saying that tag games again. That I say that crossover games. That was kind of the nail in the coffin when after people saw that they were like, okay, this will never happen again. We are never
Still
getting
don't agree with
another crossover game from Capcom again. And then this collection comes out, and I feel like this is kind of testing the waters to say, like, based off of how this performs, they are potentially open to the idea of doing a crossover game. Now, like Dave said, crossover games. Dave was saying that they probably shouldn't exist, and instead you have cameos. And I wonder if this is kind of the first step in that direction. You know,
I will say this. I think that Marvel Infinite was a symptom of the overall direction of fighting games, not an idea of the Marvel Infinite is not. This is the only thing that kills all of the mechanics, or not mechanics. Marvel Infinite died because of how they handled the game. It did not die because crossover games don't work. And then also, its death does not signify that crossover games are dead overall. They just say, hey, we need to stop doing this and just work on the games that function. Because honestly, it's surprising that people are clamoring for Darkstalkers. They did a re-release for Darkstalkers Collection. It sold. They said, we're not releasing this as the Capcom test. So no matter what the sales are, we're not trying to make this a justification for new Darkstalkers. It's just, we want to release these games for you, and here you go. And then this is the same as this one. We just want to release these games for you. Of course, they're going to be looking at data. Of course, they're going to check things out. At the end of the day, they just want to release these games. Because honestly, if I was Capcom, looking at the current day, right now, day 2, the amount of love and support that I got for this game before it showed up, and now it showed up, I'm seeing nothing but the matchmaking sucks. This is a shitty version. I don't want to play this game. I'm refunding it. I would never do this shit again. If I were them.
that's also a vocal minority, but yeah,
it's a very vocal minority, and this is where I was going to go back on.
That's how they design their games now. The vocal minority. If you don't believe.
But yeah, like with the vocal minority, they're the ones who killed MVCI because they couldn't shut up about the graphics and Chun-Li's face and Dante's face. So like,
let's not get into
which I understand. But if that's your main talking point for the game, like, it's a really stupid talking point in my opinion.
Hold on. Stop. Let's not. Hold on. Stop. Because now we're gonna start arguing among each other, and that's not what this is about.
Well, I'm not trying to argue. I'm just stating my frustration with the FGC in general and how they grade things. Because not only that, they released this game after a bad release of Street Fighter V. So everyone was on that, oh, it's so cool to hate on Street Fighter V because that's what the internet is doing. So they just made sure that Capcom does not get away with MVCI. I understand that it did look terrible and they were trying to fix it, but it was already dead on arrival. And then on top of that, you had Dragon Ball Fighter Z coming up with their beta test and all that other stuff. Like, Capcom had all the pressure and they couldn't defend themselves, right? Like
they couldn't. I'm not gonna. Listen, as somebody who I love Dragon Ball, I love Marvel. Capcom. I was like, if I had to pick a choice right now, I'm picking Dragon Ball, 100%. I bought Marvel. Was like, well, when Fighters comes out, I'm not going to be playing this as much.
Which is a fact, and it was a sad reality. It was a very sad reality, and a lot of people thought Marvel was dead after that.
Well, to be honest, it was.
Mm-hmm.
And to be honest, Marvel Infinite has some great gameplay ideas, but even every Marvel game is busted and broken and unfair. If it's not unfair, it's not Marvel. That's step one. Step two, if people, the way they're crying and complaining and not liking how classic fighting games are designed, which it's a different era, I get it, you're not going to like a new Marvel 4 that's made in the style of a new fighting game. You probably won't, because either they're going to succeed, it's going to be sanitized and not fun, or they're not going to succeed. You're not going to like it still being unfair, and Dante can still do shit the other characters can't, and Zero is still top tier, and oh my god, where is the X-Men?
Can I?
Why?
So,
Yeah.
so all I can really say to everything that's been said up to this point, in terms of Dave's point, I want to go at first here. So you had said that crossover titles should just not have existed or should have stopped, right?
Yeah, I feel like because everyone's so focused on their main type, like their main AAA game, like I say, just to be safe, just have cameo characters come into your game.
So, okay, so we're talking about cameo characters. So all I'm saying is that within this regard is whether you want, to be honest, you can't have one or the other, in my opinion. I think once the cameo thing happens, it's a crossover. Regardless of what the identity of the game is or the branding of the game, it's now officially been crossed over, right? So it's like, and if we're looking at this at a more technical term, you don't necessarily want that to end, because that means no cameos either. Because that's breaking the game's identity. Once you put a new something in there that doesn't belong to that said universe, game, what mechanical, whatever, like if that character is not there originally,
right? You're right, Tyrant.
From a different game.
You're right, Tyrant. That's why to Dave's point, that's why he separated guest characters and crossover.
But it doesn't matter.
He did, but no. It matters because he did separate the two for a reason.
But Terry being in Street Fighter 6 is still a crossover.
Yeah, it's still a crossover.
No, which
fundamentally,
fundamentally,
yes, it's a crossover,
but it's still a Street Fighter game.
Roster and roster.
Yeah, like it's a Street Fighter. It's a Street Fighter game at the end of the day.
We all know what he was implying with that. He's talking about roster and roster.
But now
the roster and roster still should be there, and furthermore, that's backed on game design. Because if you like Smash Brothers, that whole game was a crossover.
It's a whole crossover.
But if you don't have a roster of Kingdom Hearts characters, you don't have. It's a crossover. Yes, they're a crossover of guest characters.
But here's the problem. You see what at the same time
is designed around a core
engine of the game.
And
that's what Marvel was
in that engine.
Yes,
just like Marvel versus Capcom. Marvel vs. Capcom 2 feels unbalanced because the characters don't work.
It has nothing to do with roster versus roster. It's the core mechanics of the game and how the game is developed, and do these characters fit in the game that we're trying to make. It has nothing to do with my brand versus your brand. Like, yeah, there are going to be both, like, obviously if you're thinking about Capcom versus SNK, right? Obviously Capcom wants their characters to be strong, SNK wants their characters to be strong. How do we find that happy medium? More times than not, you're not going to get it.
No, you're not.
You're not.
But
you can.
But again, that's why what's being said is
I'm just saying you can, it is. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's a very hard thing to do.
There's not many beautiful timelines that exist.
I will
say that what he's trying to say, it's safer to have a guest character appear than a whole roster of characters to appear, because at least
they're focusing on they're focusing on their main game. Like that's what I mean.
I am not saying whatever you guys want to debate with me on. It's not even what I'm talking.
I mean, I still don't agree with his point that he said anyway. So I heard what he said. I just didn't agree.
Which I understand. My whole point about that was, like, when you have the guest character cross over into your main AAA game, you're still focusing on that main game. What I mean by that is that, like, you don't have, like, teams being divvied up into making, like, another game, and then, like, you have a specific team for that game and all the DLC and all that other stuff. Because, like,
you understand that, like, with certain
wait before you, I just gotta ask one question. Let's say Terry comes out, right? Let's say on September 26th, he's now the best character, top 101, can do things that no other character can do, and is just top tier beyond compare, even in the Street Fighter 6 engine. Would that be fine for you?
Well, that's not really what we're talking about. here,
No,
right? We're
because
talking
Yeah,
about.
that's why I'm
we're-
kind of
we're
just like
kinda
I'm not
conflating.
sure where we're going anymore.
No,
Yeah.
because his
I-
whole
I-
point
I-
is if you have Street Fighter 6, you put one character in there, you can focus on that one game and that one system. And if you start cutting in the teams and making other teams develop other games, it can either A, make the other teams not work as good, try to make a whole game, or how do you make one game that has 50 characters that makes them all valid while still keeping their own identity the same?
Okay, we
Yeah,
are
but I'm-
conflating crossover game with crossing over IPs.
I'm really not.
Okay, so what's happening is Dave is talking about a crossover game when he's talking about like one IP has a roster against another IP. That is distinct from having a single entity like Street Fighter with a guest character. Yes, it is a crossover in terms of intellectual property because SNK IP is coming into Street Fighter. However, it is not a crossover game because
Yeah,
that is a different subgenre.
I've already
right?
gone off that point.
But that's
I
the
will-
point we're all,
and
that's the point we're all
I'm
talking
saying, well, the only thing
Exactly.
I want to say in regard is to the divvying up of development teams and stuff like that. I just want you guys to understand something when more times than not, whether you think Street Fighter 6 was done by the entire strength and body of the Capcom studio or not, these teams are always divvied up. These teams are always separated. Like halfway through production of Street Fighter 6, more than likely, most of the Street Fighter team is already moved on to do something else. I'm just letting y'all know. Like, very rarely, unless it's like more indie developers or a big budget game, because when you look at games today, like a lot of times too, they outsource contractors and other studios to help finish the project.
Of course, yeah, absolutely.
There's always
But the thing is that if you
the foundation is always going to be there. Like it's not a necessarily a
Yeah, that's why Tyron. That's why I was saying, like, the argument of just to keep us all on topic. The argument of Dave wants crossovers gone completely, but if you have guest characters and it's a cross, no. What he's saying is the genre of crossovers versus the genre
That's
of
right.
guest.
Because it's not it. Because like
And I-
because
we
my
know by definition, if you put Spawn in Mortal Kombat, it's a crossover. We know that. We don't have Spawn the clown
Point
and
is,
all
I
these
think
other.
crossover games should exist. Whether he thought it, whether
Yeah,
And
it has to exist.
we understand that point. No one is disagreeing with that. But we're just making sure everyone understands both sides of a spectrum. We're having a
but-
discussion. Not a
no, but
debate.
you're
I never
but you're
misunderstood
misconstruing what we're saying. We understand that fully. We fully
I
understand
never
that.
said that
Yeah.
No,
one
okay.
is similar than the other. No, they are. Anyway, moving on.
So what is the? So let me ask you this then. What do you imply by saying that Dave doesn't want crossover games to exist?
He doesn't want a game like Marvel vs. Capcom, but he would rather have Wolverine in Street Fighter 6.
That's pretty much what he said.
precisely,
Right. So,
exactly.
which is why I'm saying there's a reason why he separated crossover from guests, because the point that was made that brought all this all together was,
Yes.
Dave, if you don't want crossovers to exist, then you can't have a guest character in a game because that's technically a crossover. To which I said, we all know what he's talking about.
My
Yes.
original point that I said
Okay.
was I think his point is not good, or rather, I don't agree with it, and I understand if you have Terran Street Fighter 6, that's different than having a CVS 3. However, I think that CVS 3 is still valid and can work, and I think that's better than having just Terran Street Fighter 6.
Exactly.
Just
Which-
Red Ranger and Tekken 8,
Yeah.
or just blank character and another blank game. here and there.
which
Yeah.
which I understand, but I feel like with a crossover, like a full-on crossover game, I feel this is like a bigger risk that none of these companies kind of don't want to take.
That's
And
not
that
necessarily true.
Well,
Because-
now that's a different question.
Yeah, because again, when we're talking about like a risk in terms of making a game or a fighting game in general, like again, you look at
that is a higher risk.
but again, it is a high risk. It always will be. Making a game is not ballet. Like I know we all agree on that. But when we're talking about risk, look at the changes Street Fighter 6 has made. It's not Street Fighter. It's not your traditional Street Fighter. They took a lot of things from other inspirations of games, put it into their game, took some of their legacy systems and added it, renamed some of it. It's not a traditional Street Fighter game, but as much as me and you may think that some of these systems that are in place are not good, they don't work, whatever. The majority says different because they're making record sales. Player retention is crazy. Sponsorships, Evo, World Tour, Capcom Cups, like all of these things will say differently, right? So it's like when you really start talking about the risk versus the reward, every game from our legacy time till today has changed fundamentally.
Right.
Fundamentally, every single fighting game has changed. From your Tekken 8s to your King of Fighters to your Street Fighters to your Marvel vs. Capcoms versus SNK 3, if that's a thing. All of these things have changed fundamentally to its core. And what is the main reason why? Because you want the casual audience to buy it. And what draws a casual audience into your game? Holy shit, is that Super Mario and King of Fighters? What the fuck is going on?
Bro, that would
Let
be
me
hype.
ask y'all this.
Or is Nintendo versus Sega? Like, that moves units. Period.
So let me ask y'all this, and we're gonna go down a line. In this Capcom Fighting Collection, are the Marvel collection, just in the collections in general, what is the one game that you are most hopeful for and why?
Like a future title or in the collection?
Just in the, what are you hyped for, and if you see a future with it?
So let me just make sure I'm understanding your question. So, for example, let's say we're taking the Marvel collection, right? Am I more excited for a Coda 2, the X-Men vs. Street Fighter 2, or a Marvel vs. Capcom 4? Something like that. Is that what you're asking?
That, and which one are you most excited to currently play?
Oh, I played them all at Fightcade personally, so...
Which one's your favorite?
Ooh, my favorite's probably Marvel Superheroes out of all of them.
Oh,
Marvel
good choice.
Most popular.
Are you hopeful for a future for whatever one of these games that are
I would
out?
rather a Marvel vs. Capcom 4 than a Marvel Superheroes 2. So Marvel
What's your
vs.
reason
Capcom
for
4,
that?
Because Marvel vs. Capcom has a bigger name, you get a wider cast of characters. You can make the gameplay a lot more interesting than just making the Marvel, and you can carry that Marvel vs. Capcom farther than the Marvel superheroes. Because honestly, Marvel's carried by the MCU in the public eye, and that's very fickle. But we're not talking about the MCU and Marvel.
For real.
Yeah.
I could go on a whole different discussion. But the point is, Marvel vs. Capcom sells units better than Marvel. Because listen, Marvel Origins sold horribly. Why? Because it missed Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
And
For real.
to add to that, if they did make the time to make a Marvel Superheroes 2, everyone who picks it up will be like, why can't they just make Marvel vs. Capcom 4?
Exactly.
Exactly.
It's actually going to have worse sales because there's no more. Yeah. And then out of the other collection, I'd say CVS 3 because that's the only one I played. Well, not the only one I played. That's the one I played the most out of all. Never played Project Justice. Never played Power Stone. Don't really care. Or throw a curveball. You can't do CVS 3. Capcom Fighting Evolution 2.
Piece of shit.
Okay, so my question to you now it turns into this now. So if let's say you are hopeful for MVC4, do you think they can learn from, like, let's say a Dragon Ball Fighter Z, or should they stick to what they already have? Like, if you could make a tweak or keep something the same, what would it be?
So I'm kind of working on a Marvel 4 right now, but my thing is I would focus on that number 4. What I would do is, let's say, first I'd have rosters. I'd have each roster have a, you know how King of Fighters has like teams that are story based or like
story teams. Yeah,
they're predetermined teams. You can pick whoever you want. Do that. So have teams of 4 for both Marvel and Capcom that are, like, for example, Fantastic Four. That's
I'll be right back, guys. 1 sec.
Yeah.
So you
Fantastic
have like Four, boom, and then you have like X-Men. You have a couple different X-Men teams that are themed. Like X-Men Legends would be Cyclops, Wolverine, Storm, Phoenix. X-Men 97. Okay, you get the idea. And Street Fighter. And,
yeah.
Okay, that's one. And then you would have ratio system like Skullgirls, right? So you could pick 1 character, 2 characters, 3 characters, or 4, right? And they would all play differently. For example, 3 characters, you get the standard assist, snapback, push block, whatever. 2 characters, you would be able to do active tag, you'd be able to do some other things that you couldn't do in the other groups to balance the fact you have 2 characters, not 4, not 3, not 1. If you pick 1 character, you might get a potential X factor, or you might get the ability to have better combo potential because you have 1 character, not 3, not 4. And 4, you might be able to have the ability to have a assist partner like Marvel 1. You might be able to still have a tag, or you might be able to have an assist. You might be able to do something new that warrants you having a 4th slot.
We need you to get a chef's hat, man. You cook it. I like that.
Hey, I appreciate it, man. I'm
like
just
that.
saying.
I like that.
I have really
So
a lot
sorry,
of
guys.
Do you need me to repeat what I said or no?
No.
Okay.
I like that. That MVC4 with the 4, because I was just about to ask you, how does 4 people work? And you, before I even asked, you made it work. And honestly, I like that. I'll always say this to anybody that listens to me. I think CVS ratio system should be implemented in a lot of team games. So, but I like your MVC4 idea. I think that is the direction they should go if they plan to do that. That is crazy.
And even though I don't like Skullgirls like that, I think they have some great systems. Like the IPS, the ratio, the create your own cyst. That was imagine creating your own cyst in Marvel 2.
That would be crazy.
Fun fact: what they should have done and what they could do: release a Marvel 2 Rebounds, Marvel 2 HD remix coming out next month. Boom! You wanna target some shit? Do that.
I think we should ask this question around for everybody. Like, what are
this is a question for everyone. That's why I said down the line.
Yeah.
So.
Everybody else can go now.
So let's go with Damon.
Damon, are you there?
Is he asleep?
Yo, my dude's asleep,
Did he pass out?
Mm-hmm.
Let's go with Onion.
I'll mute him.
That's crazy.
So yeah, as far as for the Capcom Fighting Collection, I think most to say about MDC1, just because that was when I played with the most. A lot of nostalgia. I was never good at it, but it was fun. But for the Fighting Collection, the game that I'm most hyped about is Project Justice. I love these rival schools. I can't get enough of that. And the fact that we'll be able to play that on modern consoles is amazing. Can't wait.
Do you hope for? Are you hopeful for?
Go ahead. If you could get it, I was gonna say if you could get a new game, which one would you want?
Well, here's the thing: that I would absolutely love a new Rival Schools game. I am not holding my breath for a second because I think it's. I love the fact that they threw Akira in Street Fighter V right at the end. You know, try something and throw it against the wall, see if it sticks, kind of thing. And that was super cool. So that kind of gave me like a glimmer of hope. And then them releasing Project Justice, I'm like, okay, maybe. But I still, it doesn't have the fanfare, the backing that like a Marvel or MD or just CVS has. Right?
You might be surprised, man. If you look at that Capcom survey, it actually got higher than Marvel Versus. Truth be told,
I would be very surprised. But
Itsuno also left.
That's my hope.
So Itsuno leaving put a lot of things on the ice, I'm sure.
Yeah.
So, Tyrant, what about you?
I'm probably going to be the only one who's ever going to say this. Street Fighter Alpha 3 is the only thing I'm really looking forward to playing.
All right.
I love CVS 2, don't get me wrong. I think CVS 2 is one of the best games ever made, as crazy as that might sound to some people. But yeah, it's definitely going to be Alpha 3 upper, especially because that's the more balanced version of the game. And as for the game I would love to see is a new Alpha game, to be honest with you.
Alpha 4, so basically Street Fighter back in its anime style.
Yeah. I think.
Yeah, please.
I would kill to go back to that Street Fighter where it was just. I don't know, man. Like it did a lot of things that were different compared to what we've seen in like previous Street Fighters, and I know all the hoopla of Third Strike and whatever, but like to be honest with you, controversial. I don't think Street Fighter Third Strike is better than Alpha 3. I'm sorry.
Ethan, nope. I'm not hearing it.
I'm sorry.
I'm not hearing it. I'm not hearing it.
Like
Tyra, could I add something to that too?
Go for it.
Since the producers like they said they like to do collaborations with people, if they do decide to make like a Alpha 4 sometime in the future, I really think visually they should talk to Arc System Works. Because if Art because
anime fighters.
The Alpha games had that anime looking style, like kind of based off like their anime, right? Like the Street Fighter 2 anime. So like those sprites that we love in the 90s that made Marvel, Darkstalkers, all those other games, like it's like to get Arc System Works to kind of replicate that style because they got the whole anime cell shading down, like they got it down packed, and like they made a 3D model act like a 2D animated character with
preach,
like
brother.
right.
Sunday, you better preach.
Right, so like the way how they did it was just magnificent, like tricking the 3D into animate like a 2D character. That's why it still looks 2D, but it's 3D animated characters. So like I think Capcom and Arc Systems work did collaborate before. That what's that Warlord series they
I know
had?
exactly what you're talking.
Yeah, like Arc System Works
Goku
built.
Buster or something?
Yeah, and like
Yeah.
Arc System Works made that game for Capcom, so like they've worked together before. So
I know you think I won't agree with you because they said crossover games. I agree. I don't know if they'll ever go split their money with Arc System Works. But listen, you want to hire Bangus and find whatever sprite artists are still alive to go work with Arc System Works to recreate that style in the Arc System Works files. And then go use it as a baseline? Oh, my money is yours.
You just tell me how much of it you need.
I knew you would like that, Alex.
I think Street Fighter 6 looks ugly. I do.
I just think everyone looks overly
Yeah,
buff. Like
yeah.
everyone ate
No,
the
no,
previous cells, and
They don't even look overly buff. They actually look less buff. But
you think so?
I do. Look at Street Fighter 5 and tell me that they look more buff than that.
I have
They
to go
don't.
back.
They don't.
At least they don't
I
got.
saw Guile
at least-
and I was like, "What the fuck happened? Guile ate Guile?"
If
Yeah,
anything, they might have more mass, but they don't have more tone.
at least they didn't drink out of the.
Yes.
At least they didn't drink the KOF 13 steroid juice. Like, come on, man.
Hot take. The kill for look 13 looks ugly. I said it, and I stand by it.
No, it looks amazing graphically, but some characters just look like they're on steroids. Like
I'm not
Terry,
gonna lie.
Ralph, and
I was
Clark.
getting
Like,
your ass on that one. I was like,
No.
oh, I might as well go use the washroom now.
You might as well, bro, because I think KO13 looks bad. Me personally.
Alright.
I prefer the 98 sprites over that.
but going back on topic, Immortal.
Yeah, I was gonna say, kid, you're the host, so I'm gonna save you for last.
Yeah,
Damn.
But for myself,
Do that.
Power Stone 2. Since I was a kid, I'm a little brother to Tyrant. I've always enjoyed being his player 2 co-op partners fighting. I've always had a sensitive spot for team games where you can play with a friend or whatever, take on AIs, because I feel what Power Stone has done that many fighting games don't do is they have a PvE mode, and you don't have to be competitive 24/7.
Mhm.
You can actually like just sit down with your brother, your friends, and just F around and have a good time fighting this big boss or whatever. And I found that very fun, and I'm hopeful for a Power Stone 3. But the reason why I think a Power Stone would work, and this is just like an opinion that I've formulated, and I've talked to Tyrant about it before, and there's a lot of personalities in here that could probably agree, disagree, or put me in perspective. But I feel like since Smash has been kicked out of the pro scene and Nintendo's just gone full heel on everybody, I feel like that market is wide open, and I feel like Power Stone would be perfect to fill that void.
I agree, 100%.
Because it doesn't mimic Smash, but it's still true to a party fighter game. And in this day and age, with the mechanics that we have now versus way back when Dreamcast was a thing, there are so many ways that you can turn Power Stone using the element that it already has, and you can make it into a competitive game while still having those PvE elements. Now you can have 4 players dungeon crawling and fighting off a whole bunch of AIs and fighting a big boss at an end, and you can do 2-on-2s, 3-on-1s. You can do some wacky stuff that Smash also did, because Power Stone 2 also allowed you to create your own items and bring them into the battlefield. Like, there's still creativity, there's still a way to have fun, but you can now, with this day and age, with all the mechanics and new characters you can introduce in Power Stone and the guest character thing, like I said to Tyrant before, can you imagine if they put, for example, a Dante and he collects all 3 Power Stones and he goes Devil Trigger?
That would be so sick.
I just thought of that. I'm like,
Or Soki, if he grabbed 3 Power Stones and he turns into the Onimusha, because they're Capcom characters.
Yeah.
Mega Man grabs all the Power Stones and he gets the ultimate armor. Black Zero, like
or
there's so much.
Wolverine.
There's so much you can do. Or Wolverine, now he has it, and I don't know what his super forms are.
Berserker Rage.
He goes
Yeah.
into Berserker Rage with it, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's so much you can do with the Power Stone mechanic, and in this day and age, what better time than now? Multiverses, Nickelodeon, Rivals of Ether, they're all failing beautifully. Like, because like as much as the fans want something to fill the void of Smash, it's like we won't accept that either. Like, we get it, like it's great and all, but it's not what we wanted. Where Power Stone isn't even trying to be Smash, but it can still fill that void, because while it's not trying to be Smash, it is still a party fighting game. So
Marl, listen to me. You got to get on my marketing team. If you pitch that and I pitch Marvel 4, it's gonna sell.
we do it.
I'm gonna buy it. Like, they would be Sony.
We doing it, brother.
What
it.
if I tweak your ID? First of all, I didn't know you two were brothers. That
Yeah,
just
we
threw
are.
me for a loop. That's why y'all sounded like I didn't want to say anything. I don't know. But what if, okay, Power Stone 3? What if it plays like Power Stone, right? But it's Capcom Smash Brothers, so it's not just Power Stone. Now it's all Capcom. So it's not just one or two guest characters. It's Power Stone plus all of Capcom.
It's a roster.
That would be sick.
Yes, sir.
That would be sick.
Like then you add a thing like Monster Hunter where you pick characters and you go fight raid bosses like it's Elden Ring.
Yeah, man. You're
Yo,
cooking. That's what I
to
said. I
me.
said, give him the chef hat.
To me.
Can you imagine Dante, Ryu, Edward Falcon, and Striker?
Oni Akuma, like.
Oh my god, that would be so crazy. I don't think if that was a reality, honestly, I don't think anyone would put that game down. I think everyone would quit their jobs and like just imagine like online raids using Power Stone.
Yeah,
Like-
Right now, that'd be nuts.
Like, oh my god, like
Bro, I need something else.
They got seasons happy. So like one season is Darkstalker's theme and the big raid boss is Pyron.
but
You know what I mean?
like to add to that too, like have the like let's say they had like Power Stone as like a massive like MMO party game, and like every month there's like a different world. So like Darkstalker's world, Devil May Cry world, Monster Hunter world, Street Fighter world, right? Like, so you have the main Power Stone world, and then like you get together, like, you know how they do like the hub system, the battle hub in Street Fighter 6? Power Stone 3 could do the exact same thing. And you just transport yourself to different universes, collecting Power Stones with your friends. So if you go to like the Darkstalkers world, you have to fight like Morgan, and then you fight like Lilith and shit like that, and you can add them onto your team and whatnot.
There you go.
And then when you get to like a bigger boss like Pyron and Huitzel, and you gotta take them out and collect more power, like, bro.
Hey,
Like,
you're forgetting about one thing though. You're forgetting about one thing.
what's that?
Sora over there going, he took my whole fucking flow.
Power Stone.
I'm like, that's just hard. I've never played Power Stone. I play that. That's hard. But listen. Another thing, just like Virtual Quest, you get a player character, you can tap in, then you get to create your own avatar.
Oh, created avatars as well?
Ooh, that would be sick.
Then you can do like Xenoverse and take the moves of some of the characters.
Oh, that would be so
man.
sick.
Just make a
Capcom,
busted
listen to
character for
me.
PvE.
And Marvel got I got Marvel. He got Power Stone, Capcom Stone 3.
Capcom Stone!
Capcom Stone! Man, already made titles!
Capcom Stone!
Welcome to the Capcom Stone world.
You need to call it Capcom Capsule Computer.
Yeah.
I really wanted it. Man. Then you can even have a bonus like a Marvel world that we could like. Oh, we still got that too. Oh my goodness.
Well, yeah, like if they get like if they turned it into like a mobile style. Like, I'm not saying turn it into a mobile game, but like the ideas of like how they do their mobile games and shit like that, but as an actual console online type of game.
All Stars was going crazy for a minute. I was on that.
Yo, okay, let me just add to that. KOF versus WWE crossover, I did not see that coming. In the first year of the game, for a month you could get WWE superstars in your roster in KOF All Stars.
Yeah, you could Bodega John Cena.
Yeah. So you can have Kyo. Like the amount of crossovers they did, so like you can technically have like Kyo, Terry, John Cena, Ryu, and Chun-Li.
Meliodas, don't forget about him.
That is hilarious.
I'm like, why is Meliodas, Jin, and Iori on this?
Oh yeah, they did a crossover with Tekken 7 as well. Yeah, I totally forgot about that. Yeah, they did.
Got Jin and Ryu and Kyo. I'm like, yo, but we don't like crossover games, right? It's right there, bro. It's right there, bro. No, listen. Shonen Jump Fighters. I don't need a Dragon Ball Fighters 2. I need a Shonen Jump crossover fighting game. That would go bananas. That would
work.
Shonen Jump happened, and oh boy.
But let's do it properly this time. Let's do it properly this time.
Listen, J-Stars was a great step, and then Jump Force was like, we're going to take it to the hood. And I was like, wow.
Fighting in New York.
I don't need
Jump Force was so weird. Like, oh my god. And I'm like, I couldn't follow what they were doing. I'm like, yeah, you guys are on your own.
That's my thing. I get my beef patties over there, dog. Come on, man.
The streets love me over here, and then I was like, yeah, they do. But they pulled out Ryu Saiba. I said, hold on. Y'all remember City Hunter? That's crazy.
Oh my god!
I see Frieza, yo, dog. I don't think you belong out here. All that monkey, this monkey, that, my guy.
Let's go get you.
No, but the saddest part is Frieza got a shiesty on.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Frieza just pulling up to Compton. Hello, monkeys.
Oh no! Man gets shot on sight.
We're about to drop a whole diss album on that boy.
Like, I just had a brazen workout. I'm like, whoa. Yo. Hey,
yo, chill with that.
So we got MVC 4, Power Stone 3, Alpha 4.
I can do CBS 3 if you want. I'm in the kitchen already, so.
I'm in the kitchen already. You want this well done?
Yeah, I think Onion Knight said, I guess new rival schools. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, new rival schools. So the kid,
host of the program, take it away.
Okay, so I guess the one game I'm looking forward to, and I guess the new collection that's about to come out, I have to side with my boy Tyrant here, Alpha 3 Upper, because that I had so many fond memories of Alpha 3, like, growing up, and, like, the fact that we're getting it online and everything, too, like, that's just butter for me. And already, like, I see some of the Alpha 3 purists who are already, like, dissecting Upper compared to Vanilla. Like, they're saying, oh, don't play the Upper one because it's not as strong as Vanilla Alpha 3. No, which is fine, right? But, like, come on, man. Like, I'm sick and tired of playing people on Visa, man. Like, come on.
Listen, bro. You think I want to sit here and learn how to play cable? I don't. But the meta says I gotta fucking have it.
But I got bills to pay.
But Alex, I got shit to do, man. I gotta raise my kids for 10-15 minutes.
Bro, I don't know how to do the Cody Crouch camps, but you know what I do know how to do? Add different versions of the same game. I ain't gotta be one. Who's gonna play EO over normal CVS 2?
True.
That's a fact.
That is a fact.
But you added it in. So my thing is, just do that. Like X vs Street Fighter, we only have one version. You didn't have to do that. You could have made it selectable.
But that's what. But to continue with my point, I think that's what they're going to do in the future with this new collection, because everyone was complaining that why not play Alpha 3 Max. I feel near the end of near release date, they might add Alpha 3 Max in there. I'm crossing my fingers. I'm crossing my fingers and I'm hoping, because I did ask, you have Alpha 3 Max, why play Alpha 3 Upper? You're just giving us a teaspoon of what you actually have.
Because one's on Naomi, one's not?
No, Upper was on Naomi as well.
I know, but Max is not.
They only came on Xbox, not Xbox, Game Boy and PSP, right?
Yeah, PSP, which is not. There's a couple reasons why. One, they're just like fuck y'all. Two, they're like we're only doing Naomi-based arcade ports for whatever reason.
Well, to add to that, Plasma Sword is not Naomi board.
It's true. It's not. It's
Yeah.
not. From what I found out, but you know what it is? A game nobody gonna buy on its own. So throw it in there.
Exactly.
So same with Capcom Fighting Evolution.
Yeah,
Yeah,
man,
it's
I was-
The Drake of fighting games. That's what I call Capcom Fighting Evolution.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, I'm not gonna let you do that.
Damn.
I'm not gonna let you say that.
That was
I
a
like
bar.
Drake. Recently, it's been a little weird to say that.
Honestly, man, knowing where Drake came from and what he spits in his song, I'm not saying he's a bad musician, but like, come on, don't lie about where you came from. Like, come on,
You
don't.
got a weird
don't-
case. Why is he around?
Don't
Oh my god.
don't be grifting. I'm sorry.
Bro,
Listen, Alex. I'm allowed to say that because I am from Toronto. So like, I get the. I
a
get.
lot of rappers be out here lying about what they be doing.
That's true.
So
That is
I'm not gonna be on
absolutely
Drake.
true.
Which I get. Which I totally
Hey,
get.
hold on. Yo, listen.
I'm gonna just say this: until one of my favorite rappers are caught on a yacht with a 13-year-old girl for whatever reason, I ain't even gonna hold.
Oh
it.
yeah,
The
that.
washroom.
Not good.
All right,
Listen,
man.
it's not good. Okay, I'm not sitting here.
I know what it looks like.
I was like, I know what you're saying. I know what you're thinking. It doesn't look good, but.
Headlines is a banger. That's all I'm gonna say.
I am fighting myself so hard, man.
Hey, listen, I get it. Well, then again, I'm a different person. Well, that's not what this podcast is about. So let me not.
Let's not do that, please.
But I will say, well, actually, you weren't even done. So go ahead.
Well, I did. Well,
Alpha
for
2 is better. Alpha 2 is better than Alpha 3. That's what I did want to say.
I'm a fist fight you. Listen.
You got Fight K? What you want to do? I be on Fight K more. Come on.
I
be out in the
to
streets.
be honest,
for real.
like to be honest, like I'm still fighting which alpha I like better, Alpha 3 or Alpha 2, because like I enjoy both of them. I know majority like 2, but like I like both of them. I don't know.
Majority like 3.
I deadass prefer just 3. I'm not gonna lie.
I dead ass prefer just 2.
A lot of people do.
I'm glad they picked the right one.
I played Alpha 2 on SNES, and without that, it's not the same game.
Apparently, there's actually a way to make that version play like correctly. I don't know how, but like you can ROM hack it or like do something where they switched it.
Yeah, to play it correctly, just play the arcade version.
And until they should have put Alpha 2 instead of Alpha 3 Upper. That's the first thing. I was like, bro, just put Alpha 2, bro.
We have the 30th anniversary collection for that.
Don't you disrespect my ears with that. No.
I think,
No.
honestly, Alex, I honestly think they should remake the 30th anniversary collection to make it
I
look
agree.
like the Fighting Collection.
I agree.
Like, I think they should just redo it in that
All right,
style.
I got a question. All right, here we go.
What's
They make a CFC 3. They're already gonna put Third Strike there as the headlining game because they already got the other two They already got the other two Trinities headlining another collection.
Mhm.
So they got Third Strike as one of the in my collection they'd have Third Strike as one of the games. What would your collections look like? Because Capcom's running out of games to pull out the vault to sell.
Well, I do agree putting Third Strike on there. Like I do agree putting Third Strike on that.
Third Strike has to be something.
Yeah.
Like, you can't.
I actually saw a video. On this, and I'm probably gonna go buy that video. Final Fight Revenge should be on there, even though it's a terrible game. It should be on there.
They put CFE on there.
Yeah, exactly. They put Capcom Fighting Evolution. They could put Final Fight the Final Fight game in
I
there.
never played it, but I wanted to play it.
Tatsunoko versus Capcom for sure. In that collection.
That could be its own re-release. That might be a lot to put in its own
No,
re-release.
I think there's a market for Tatsunoko.
No. I'm not saying don't bring it. I'm just saying that could be its own release.
True.
Yeah, for sure.
You know what? Honestly,
It has
Alex.
to be its own game.
Yeah, honestly, Alex. Yeah, I agree with that too because of the amount of licensing they have to go through with the Tatsunoko characters alone. That that should just be its own like re-release type of game. So okay, well, I'll take that out. Shit, what else do they have? Because like Techromancer could go on there, but the rest of the fighting games they have to go through licensing issues. Like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, like they have to go talk to Harada about that.
Yeah, come on, dude. You already know after Street Fighter Cross Second, them doors is closed.
Yeah.
Actually, no, that's not true because Tekken 7.
Honestly, it'll never. Those doors will never close because as long as there's money to be made, they're gonna do it.
Listen, Harada. When I found out that Harada has sunglasses on because of Ono, I was like, "That's crazy." I was like, "Bro, you can take those off now. You know that, right?"
Nah, bro.
No, it's part of the look.
I don't want to see Harada's eyes.
Like if he takes his glasses off, like all his street cred is gone.
Bro, if he takes his glasses off, it's like Cyclops.
What? Yeah, like everything else is like just in licensing hell.
Just fighting game. Okay, here's one. Here's a surprise hit. Finish that unfinished Capcom crossover fighting game.
Oh, Capcom Fighting All Stars?
Yeah, finish that one. Put in the collection. That would, man, what? I don't know if you could, but if you wanted to get nasty,
they have to find the source code for it. I don't even think they have the source code anymore.
Hey, man, emulate that shit. It's on the internet. Do what you do.
Capcom illegally downloading their own game. Like that's hilarious.
Emulate that emulator, bro. Go ahead. You're doing it now. I know you are. It's fine. They're just like, shh, don't tell nobody.
How long have we been going on for? This podcast is long.
Oh, it's almost 2 hours. Oh shit! Like,
great.
Fuck.
Yeah, I think it's time to get this sorted.
Yeah.
Okay. We wrap
point and then close this out.
Well, I think my point's already done. Like, as a new Capcom fighting game to come out, honestly, I don't know. I don't have an answer for that because like a lot of you guys took like the best answers and whatnot.
Right, so we'll give you Onimusha Blade Breakers then.
I actually liked Onimusha Blade Warriors. Hold on.
I never got to play it, to be honest.
Well, I actually have it, so you can try it out when you come over. So
the kid wants Blade Warriors. Okay,
yeah, you know what? You know what? Fuck it. Yeah, give me a Blade Warriors 2. Add Dante. Put Dmitry Maximov in it. Let's get some.
My power stone, calm down with my power stone, please.
Yo, dude.
Yo. Oh, let's go. Let's do it. Forget Capcom Fighting Evolution 1st to 50. Fuck that.
First to 10.
Let's go.
Close this out, kid.
Well, I guess this is it for the podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Everybody who showed up tonight, thank you for showing up. Do you guys? I want to give you guys the floor. Anything you want to plug? Because I know you guys got Twitch channels and stuff like that. So like, where can everybody find you? Like, Alex, I'll start off with you.
Right, you can find me on YouTube. You can find me on Twitch. You can find me on TikTok. AlexLovehall.
And he's also in the kitchen cooking.
I am. There's a lot of ideas I didn't even share today. So if you want to see more, check me out on my own platforms. You'll get to hear them all from the kitchen live.
Boom.
Tyrant?
As much as I have a Twitch, I got Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, YouTube channel. Please follow G3 Nexus on YouTube. Follow us on Discord, G3 Nexus. You can find me on Twitch, G3 Tyrant at Twitch TV. Is that everything? Immortal? I think that's everything.
I think you hit everything.
Yeah, I think I got everything. Yeah, that's good.
I am with Tyrant on the G3 Nexus front, although that is his channel, but I am also a game developer. I am currently working on a card game, a fighting game for cards called Battle Eterna. You can check that out on YouTube. I also have a Discord called Battle Eterna. Currently, I am updating all of the artwork as I am a one-man show, but I finally have the tools and everything necessary to update the artwork, so I'm doing that. Battle Eterna has sold about over 30 copies so far, so super excited for this new fighting card game that you've never played before. If you're into fighting games and card games and you want to see something like that play out in an animated style, whatever, check out Battle Eterna. I got gameplay videos, tutorial videos, and again, I'm currently updating the artwork. I'm super excited to launch this game. It's going to have 13 characters on launch, So yeah, if you guys have time, anybody listening who's interested in fighting games and card games and want to see how they mesh together, Battle Eterna, that's the place for you to be at.
And Thanos?
Onion Knight, you can't find me anywhere except for here.
Nice.
That is true. I'm on Instagram, Thanos the best villain, and yeah, just here for the podcast, sharing some insights. I'm a software developer myself, so I'd like to bring some of that into the conversation, and hopefully just make everything a little more insightful. And yeah, that's it.
Sweet. Well, everyone listening, thank you for spending 2 hours with us and whatnot. And yeah, we'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for having us, man.
Thank
Hey,
God
take care,
my
everybody.
kid has a PA day tomorrow. I'm tired.